Yo, what is going on YouTube? I am Germ here. We are now just 2 weeks away from the start of the LEC and LCS seasons. That's kind of crazy in some ways because it seems like, it's been forever since we got to see some LCS and LEC action after the playoffs wrapped up and getting through all of MSI and all that stuff. But also, like, MSI just got over, and to already be starting the LCS and LEC season seems crazy at the same time. But it means we need to start, taking a look at all the different rosters, all the different players, starting to get our power rankings, prediction, hot takes, all that stuff ready. And today I wanted to talk a little bit about Vitality and Perkz more specifically, but really all the Vitality players are kind of in an interesting situation. Obviously, we've known that Team Vitality has been trying to form some kind of super team for the past couple of seasons. It's been a meme for a while. And then so far this year, they were, finally able to do it, to make that super team or whatever. Obviously, people had all different kinds of opinions on just how super this super team was going to be coming into this season. And it turns out, once we actually get to see them play a little bit, they were not so super. This team started out really rough. I think they lost at least their first 3 games, if not more. So if you take that into account, after their kind of bad start, they did a little bit better as the season went on, but overall a 9-9 finish, a 500 win rate regular season, and they were a game away from missing the playoffs entirely. You can see here they tied for 5th with Excel. They ended up getting the 6th seed before actually beating Excel in game 5 in the playoffs, and then getting swept 3-2 by G2 to kind of start G2's miracle run through the lower bracket all the way to MSI. So again, this was not that great of a split for Vitality, and really, individually, none of their players stood out too much. Perkz had some very, very bad weeks. Perkz had some pretty decent weeks. Alfari in the top lane, he had some very, very decent weeks. He had some very bad weeks. Obviously, Selfmade was very up and down, and he ends up ultimately getting replaced. Karzi, I think, was one of the more consistent players, honestly, but still, it's not like he was insane. But also, AD carry is one of the hardest positions in League of Legends to stand out on an individual level if your team is underperforming. And then, obviously that was kind of the team as a whole. A lot of players just going up and down a lot. I know the support was kind of hit or miss as well, and one of the guys who got some of the more criticism, but also at the same time, he's one of the younger players who is developing for the future. I couldn't think of Lebrov's name. I was drawing a complete blank. Lebrov definitely got a fair share of criticism as well, but obviously he's a little bit less experienced than a lot of the other members on Vitality. But that gets me to what I want to talk about mainly today, was this coming from Perkz, who said, got fisted so hard by Excel today. And for whatever reason, fisted is just like the word of choice in the LEC. That's what all of them say about scrims, about games, about all this stuff. If you get beat bad, or you get beat bad in lane, or you get solo killed, or whatever, you got turbo fisted, astro fisted, whatever. Perkz says he got fisted so hard by Excel today that I would go as far as to say this might be the year of the duck. And obviously, year of the duck is its own meme that's been dating back for a couple years. So many people think Nuke Duck is just right on the cusp of greatness, and this is going to be the year, or the split, or the playoffs, or whatever, that he finally shines through and shows everyone, the scrim god that he is, or the high level mid laner that he is. But just like the Vitality super team never comes to fruition, the year of the duck doesn't really ever come to fruition either. But this, to me, is at least potentially a little bit concerning. Now, I don't ever read too much into scrim culture. I don't really care that much about solo queue. We've talked about that in videos before. And I don't really care that much about scrims either. But it's not a great sign to be getting fisted by Excel just a couple of weeks before the LEC season starts. Because again, if we take a look at this, Excel was not that great of a team last split. Now, obviously, they picked up Mickey in the middle of the split, and then were kind of a better team after that. So maybe Excel is going to be a couple of wins better going into the summer split. But still, this is not really a team that many people think is going to be fighting for Worlds contention, especially with Nuke Duck in the mid lane, a guy who is not, I don't think many people would consider a top 3 mid laner. He's not a guy that's going to be like, doing a whole lot of fisting or anything like that. So losing to Excel is not a great sign, because there are some really, really good teams in the LEC right now. You have Rogue and Fnatic, who are going to be contenders once again. You have G2, who's coming off this miracle lower bracket run. T1. They just went to MSI. They took a game off T1. They took a game off RNG. They beat Evil Geniuses 6 times in a row or 7 times in a row or whatever the heck it was. They beat EG a bunch, and they're going to be coming into the split with some confidence. I really am not that sold on Misfits, but even Misfits was, had a significantly better record than Vitality did, and Misfits even took a game off Rogue in the playoffs. And then you have, again, Excel getting to play a whole split with Mickey this time, who I think is going to be a little bit better than they were in the spring. And then you have Mad Lions, who were only a game worse than Vitality, and they have a massive upgrade in the mid lane, being Niski over Reeker. So overall, this is not a great sign in a lot of ways for Team Vitality. Now, Vitality, just like Mad Lions made a change. Obviously, I talked a little bit already. Vitality decided to make a change. They decided to swap out Selfmade for Haru, the former, I believe, Samsung Galaxy jungler and the jungler for X7 last split. I think they play in the NLC, but in one of the ERLs, a guy who we got to see at EU Masters a little bit. I think they played K-Corp in the EU Masters as well. And we'll have to see how this guy does. I mean, just kind of going off face value or name value or whatever, is Haru going to be an upgrade over Selfmade? I don't think so in terms of individual play, but there is a potential and the chance that Haru is going to fit in better with Team Vitality than Selfmade was going to be able to. Now, is that guaranteed? Is that a sure thing? No, absolutely not. It's just possible because it's at least something different. And I've talked about in videos before as well that we've seen more and more recently in modern day League of Legends that fitting in with your team, having the right play style, the right champ pool, being on the same page, being able to fill a specific role or specific style is really much more important than just having the best players on paper, like we've seen with a lot of these super teams failing. You know, we really saw like 3 super rosters in the West being Fnatic, being Vitality, and being Team Liquid in the LCS, and obviously none of those 3 teams ended up winning a title or going to MSI, and out of them, obviously Vitality didn't really end up being that good, and none of them even made the finals in the LCS or the LEC either, but you had a team like Evil Geniuses who, went for some young, promising players, the team with like G2 that went with some young, promising players, Rogue, who even, didn't have the craziest players on paper in the world, picking up a guy like Comp after replacing Inspired and after replacing Hansama and still being able to make it all the way to the LEC final. So maybe this move will end up making Vitality be significantly better. But again, Perkz is a guy with a lot of stuff to prove. I think for the past 3 splits, ever since swapping back to mid lane, he hasn't been that impressive in the mid lane. I don't think he was all that great for Cloud9. Now, yes, he was able to win an LCS title. Yes, he was able to take that team to Worlds. But individually, I don't think he carried Cloud9 to an LCS title. I don't think he carried Cloud9 to Worlds. And yes, again, he did end up getting them out of groups. But even at Worlds, I don't think he was all that great. But he had those team results able to back him up. But now, this year in the LEC, he's not that great once again. How good was Perkz in the spring split? Was he the 4th best mid laner, 5th, 6th, somewhere in there? He for sure wasn't top 3. And now his team isn't putting up the team results either. This team barely made the playoffs. Didn't, make top 3 where, hey, if this was summer, we would have made it to Worlds. They didn't make it to the finals. They didn't make it to MSI. They won a single playoff series in the lower bracket against the other team that went 9-9 in the regular season. So Perkz has a lot to prove. Vitality, as a team, has a lot to prove. This is a roster they spent a lot of money on. These are players who have big egos. They have big fan bases. You take a look at this stuff here, and you have Perkz as the most popular player on Twitter in the entire LEC. He is known as either the first or second, maybe top 3, if you throw him up there with Caps and Yankos, best Western player of all time. And again, after a couple disappointing splits in a row, the future for Perkz is looking kind of weird. Are we ever going to see this guy back on a top team again? Are we ever going to see this guy back at peak form, peak level? He doesn't have the excuse that, he's just role swapping back to mid lane anymore. This is going to be his 4th split in a row playing in the mid lane once again. I think he has a lot to prove. I think he needs to step up. Again, even though he didn't play that great last year, he still had playoff Perkz. He still had the Perkz magic. He was always showing up when his team needed him most. And I think Vitality's going to need him a heck of a lot in the summer split. And again, apparently they're not doing so good in scrims against Excel, against Nuke Duck, and I think in the summer split they're going to have to overcome obstacles much greater and much more difficult than Excel if they really want to accomplish the things that this team was built to set out and do when the season started. And if Vitality has another bad split, who knows what the future for this team, this roster, or any of these players individually could be. But it's definitely going to be interesting and exciting to follow. But that's pretty much it for this video today, guys. Definitely drop a like if you did enjoy it. I would appreciate that so much. Leave a comment down below letting me know what you think about Team Vitality heading into the summer split. Are you hyped up for them, excited for them? You think they're going to suck again? I don't know. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions. Subscribe, stay up to date on all my latest content. Hope to catch you guys in the next one. But until then.